Alright, now that you've seen Nosferatu, it's time for 007 and 7. Now, one thing I do need to say here is keep in mind that 007 and 7 will be getting a rework soon. Like, not a little buff like how 1X got, or 1X. He will be getting a completely new moveset and everything. Like, all the movesets that you're about to see here with 007 and 7 will be changed in the future. So please take all of this with a grain of salt. And this is just how he plays currently. Alright, with that said, 007 and 7. Now, again, I will not be reading the lore stuff. I can say that for another video. Stats, difficulty, he's 4 stars. His health is 100, which makes him a default survivor. Regular speed is 12, which is, I think, a default. Sprinting speed is 26, which is default. Max stamina, which is default. The default's 100 for survivor. Stamina loss per second, which is 10. If I'm not mistaken, that is default. Stamina gain per second, 20. Again, pretty sure that's default. Passives, we have Dex. 007 and 7 will be able to hide, will be able to see the location of the furthest spawn from him, or furthest spawn from him. Now, it does say survivor spawn here, but it will also show you killer spawns. Like, it just essentially shows you whatever the furthest spawn is in general. This includes killer spawns. I'm not sure why it says survivor when it does include killer. First ability is clone. Me too, this is not fun. That's kind of funny. When activated, 007 and 7 taps into his exploits to create a clone of himself that by default lives for 10 seconds before dying. Upon creating a clone, 007 and 7 will be given invisibility 4 and undetectable 1 for 5 seconds. The clone by default will wander aimlessly, but this can be changed through using inject ability, which I'll talk about here in a second. Okay, so what this essentially means is whenever you push it, a clone version of yourself will be shot out from your body. And it'll go and it'll wander around, and you can try to use it to trick the killer. At the same time, when this happens, you'll be turned slightly transparent, or as it calls it here, invisibility 4. Keep in mind that you are not 100% invisible, which is why I said transparent. You can still slightly see you if you look close enough. And some skins on him will actually give you invisibility 3 instead of 4 because they were too difficult to see prior. So, yeah. Next move is Cool GUI. Where's my house? 007 and 7 stands in place for 5.5 seconds before teleporting away to the furthest survivor spawn located from him. From the furthest survivor spawn located from him. Yeah. Being hit during the ability cancels it immediately. Okay, so essentially how this move works is it works with the passive. Remember how I said you could see the survivor spawn or killer spawn or whatever, the furthest spawn from across the map, right? So this works with Cool GUI. So whenever you click Cool GUI, it teleports you to whatever that furthest spawn was, whether it's a survivor or a killer spawn. And obviously, like I said there, if you are hit during the process, you will, the move itself will be canceled, and it'll be put on cooldown and all that other stuff. You know, it's also worth noting that while the move is activated, it takes a few seconds to activate, as it says there, 5.5 seconds. But while the move is there, you're not necessarily stuck in place. It's more like you're just really, really, really heavily slowed. I think you get like slowness like 5, I want to say. Okay, and the final move, Inject, which this works with Clone. Dude, stop hacking, kid. Upon activation, the clones created using 007 clone. 007 and 7's clone ability will have their movement type switched. Aimless, which is selected by default. The clone wanders around randomly and aimlessly. The second one would be Pathfind. The clone pathfinds to the furthest survivor spawn, which again, the passive for Dex allows you to see this furthest spawn. With Pathfind, they'll just run towards that spawn. And then Cursor, in my opinion, one of the hardest ones to control. the clone moves towards the player's cursor and only lasts for 5 seconds instead of 10. So what this essentially does, I will explain every move, actually, now that I think about it. So aimless, you throw it about, and it wanders around like an NPC. Most of the time, people won't fall for this because, I mean, who in the right mind actually would walk like how it walks here? I don't know, my ult just left. Anyways, Pathfind, the clone, like I said, will try to get their way to the furthest survivor spawn or killer spawn. Again, it's just for the spawn in general. Again, I don't know why it says survivor spawn when killer spawn is included in this, like I said. Again, like I said, his entire moveset is going to be reworked, so. Cursor, the clone will basically go wherever your cursor is going. This is harder to control on console, so again, another thing just to take with a grain of salt. So I will be showing gameplay of it here in a minute, and just like I did with Nosferatu, I will be using default at first and then using some of my favorite skins. Alright, now and just like in the Nosferatu video, all of this is recorded in post, so yeah. Anyways, as you can see there, it shows the furthest spawn, and what I recommend as soon as the round starts, activate Cool GUI as soon as you can, that way you go to where the killer spawn was at. Trust me, it helps out a lot because most killers, well, they immediately move after spawning in. We all do it. So the best thing to do is 7 and 7 is to, well, just get off the spawn. Yeah, all I really have to say about the beginning thing. Bloop. Also, duly note, when on a generator, try to look in your peripheral as much as you can. Trust me, it helps out a lot, as you saw there. Also, as you can see there, I switched my inject to Pathfind. What Pathfind does, as I said earlier, it makes the clone go to wherever the furthest spawn is. But again, when you're on a generator, try to look in your peripheral vision for the killer, like subconsciously. It helps out a lot, trust me. Alright, round 2. There's going to be a lot of clips like that, where it just breaks up like that, because I didn't manage to get a lot of good clips with this. Also, like I said, as soon as I spawned, I started teleporting. Yeah, also that's one of my favorite 7 skins. One thing I love doing as 7 and 7 against a John Doe is using clone to go against the footprints. Of course it works if the clone goes in the footprint and not you. That typically would help out a lot. Yeah. You can use the clone to hit the footprints, though keep in mind it still gives him the speed. Again, using the clone to get rid of the footprints, but again, like I said, it still gives John Doe the speed buff, so please be mindful of your teammates whenever you're doing it. That way you don't accidentally screw them over. Now I do gotta say here, Pathfind is a little weird when it comes to ledges like that. It doesn't like to go off the ledge unless you force it off the ledge. And also another thing to say, whenever you use clone in the Cool GUI, there is a timer where you can't use Cool GUI right after cloning. It's like 1 or 2 seconds after. So try to keep that in mind. I wasn't fully locked in here, but when going against a 1x, every time you hear him use Unstable Eye, which is the move that he uses to see across the map, or as you call it, Gashing Eye, you can use Clone to go invisible and he just can't see. It's really good. You can also use Noob's Ghostburger. Noob's is probably better because Ghostburger's timer is very similar to Unstable Eye. But anyway, the point is you can use Clone to like completely avoid Unstable Eye, which I think is like really cool. Also, right there, I used Cool GUI after a clone, just in case he realized it was a clone. So, you know, like he noticed it was a clone and he tries to double back saying, hey, the 7's over there. Well, I'm already across the map then. Also, if you notice, I'm just randomly throwing out a clone. It's just in case he happens to be over there, I will just have a clone out. And he like starts chasing the clone thinking it's me. So that is a tip that I recommend doing. I like doing it personally. As you saw there, I hooked around the corner and cloned at the same time to make it look like the clone was still me, and he never noticed that I actually cloned. It makes it look a lot more natural rather than seeing the clone spawn in. It's better to do it around corners, but just keep in mind, more experienced players know about that trick. They also know about how clone works and stuff in general, so just keep that in mind. The better players you go against, the less useful N7 might be. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've subconsciously tried to force my clone into Pathfind. The reason why is because on console, cursor is just extremely hard to use, so I just subconsciously use Pathfind because aimless I find is useless.